From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 29th, 2016. Israel today marked the 69th anniversary of United Nations General Assembly Resolution 181. Adopted on November the 29th of 1947, the resolution recommends the partition of the British-ruled Palestine Mandate into a Jewish state and an Arab state living side by side. It was approved with 33 votes in favor, 13 against, 10 abstentions, and 1 state absent. The resolution was accepted by the Jewish Agency but rejected by the Arab population and Arab states. And Britain's Parliament will host a ceremony tonight to mark the 100th anniversary of the Balfour Declaration. Israel Radio reports that the ceremony is to be attended by several British lawmakers and Israel's ambassador to the UK, Mark Regev. The declaration was signed by British Foreign Secretary Lord Arthur Balfour in 1917, showing British support for the Jewish right to a homeland and paving the way for the establishment of the State of Israel. Recently, the Palestinians have demanded that Britain apologize for the declaration and threatened to sue over it. As Israel begins to deal with the aftermath of the numerous devastating fires that burned across the country for days, Israel's tax authority announced today that several of those fires were in fact a result of arson and could have been terrorism. The tax authority cited fires in 9 locations across Israel that fall into that category, a ruling that allows for state compensation for the hundreds whose homes were destroyed in those blazes. Israel police, meanwhile, have arrested some 35 people since Thursday in connection with the fires. They reportedly are mostly Palestinians, but at least 10 of them are said to be Arab Israelis. And this evening, the Times of Israel reports that Israeli forces thwarted an arson attempt near a security checkpoint in the West Bank. Israel's defense ministry said that surveillance cameras identified 3 Palestinians setting a fire in an open area near the checkpoint. IDF troops were able to intercept them. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met today with Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales. This is Morales' first visit as president outside the Americas. The two discussed cooperation in the areas of agriculture and water, technology, and other fields. Morales arrived in Israel yesterday and met with his counterpart Reuven Rivlin. He also visited Yad Vashem. Later today, Morales received an honorary doctorate from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. The Fatah Party, the party that rules the Palestinians in the West Bank, re-elected Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas today in a conference in Ramallah. The vote to have the now 81-year-old Abbas lead the party for another 5 years was unanimous and held at the party's first conference since 2009. Elections will also take place to vote in members of Fatah's parliament and its central committee later this week. Israel will be acquiring 17 more fighter jets from the United States. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's office announced that the Security Cabinet approved the purchase of the F-35s today after a unanimous vote. The acquisition falls under the defense aid package for Israel recently signed by President Barack Obama. The first of these stealth jets is set to arrive in Israel in a few weeks, with 2 more coming by the end of the year and the additional planes over the next few years. France has returned a piece of art to the descendants of a Jewish couple forced to sell it as they were fleeing Nazi Germany. French Culture Minister Audrey Azoulay led a ceremony at her ministry in Paris to return the 16th century painting by Flemish artist Jos van Clive to the grandchildren of Hertha and Henry Bromberg. The Brombergs were forced to sell the painting to allow for their escape from Germany in 1938 to the United States. Azoulay said, "I measure the importance of this gesture in the eyes of history." She also acknowledged that France was being more proactive and stepping up its efforts to return such art that was either stolen by the Nazis or sold under duress, like in the case of the Brombergs. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, November the 29th. At 7 o'clock, we bring you more of our coverage from the Jewish Federation of North America's General Assembly in Washington, with President of the American Health Policy Institute, Tevi Troy, who discusses President Obama's legacy and the new presidential administration with editorial director of Mid-Atlantic Media, Joshua Runyon. At 7:30, also from the GA, professional pollsters Nathan Klein and Mark Mellman talk about how Jews voted in the elections with Nathan Gutman of The Forward, followed by U.S. Middle East policy analyst Aaron David Miller, who discusses the changing relationship between American Jews and Israel with Nadine Epstein of Moment magazine. At 9 tonight, Mark Golub hosts a roundtable discussion analyzing the election results, and at 10, Rabbi Yehuda Sarna hosts the new JBS series Millennial Perspectives. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, Mark Golub will speak to former Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz on several issues, including former U.S. President Jimmy Carter's op-ed on a Palestinian state. That's on tonight's In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 29th, 2016. I'm Teisha Bader.